Welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. This is a bonus episode, so we can open however you want to, bitches.
Bonus book club.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. This is a bonus episode because we're talking about kicking off the book/game club. And this is a little late because I was in Mexico, which is French for Mexico. And
Absolutely not.
And I was having a good time, but I was not playing a lot of Chrono Trigger. But when I got back, I marathoned it, and I got that stuff done. Okay, so overall, we're supposed to get to where? The end of time.
End of time, yeah. So
How's that been?
Time.
let's go ahead and introduce our little mini panel. We lost a guest last minute, so there's just three of us today. So you got David, Jeremiah, and we also have on the mics with us Timmy.
Hello. You might remember me from the early zombie episode. That was me.
Yes.
Yeah, he helped coin the "I'm not a gynecologist" catchphrase. So
Yeah.
Classic. Instant classic.
History in the making. And for anyone who's watching the live show, I have to show you guys this just because I know that a lot of us are fans. Check out this shirt, man. Look.
Holy shit! Train like you've got Titans to kill.
Yeah. I love wearing this to, like, the gym because no one gets it. They're like, oh, Titans, that makes sense. Yeah, but it's got the huge Survey Corps thing on it.
they're like, yeah, remember the Titans? I saw that movie.
That was good. Football's awesome.
Total bro, let's become Titans. Because they're at the gym.
They start doing the dance. We are the Titans, mighty,
No.
mighty Titans.
Yeah.
All right.
Aberrations, a lot of them. But Chrono Trigger,
Total
so,
bro.
has it held up to the test of time?
Right, so Chrono Trigger, it was made by Squaresoft's Dream Team. So we had Hironobu Sakaguchi, who was the Final Fantasy series creator. We had the Dragon Quest creator, Yuji Horii, and the Dragon Ball manga artist and creator, Akira Toriyama. These three teamed up to give like what was supposed to be Squaresoft's best game ever. And I think they succeeded.
Yeah, that art style is completely iconic, right? I mean, Dragon Ball Z, everyone's familiar with that.
Yeah.
But let's not forget Ted Woolsey, the guy who did the translation. He also did the translation for Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy IV. He's responsible for those Woolseyisms, right? The famous
Son of a
Spoony
submariner.
Bard, son of a submariner. Guy's a legend.
Yeah, sadly, the version that I'm playing of Chrono Trigger is a different translation. They revived the classic terrible Woolseyisms.
No!
Blasphemy.
So I'm playing it, and I'm like, wait a minute, they changed the Geto song? Like, it's no longer the same. I can't sing along anymore.
What? What is it? What is it now?
I don't know. It's just like more grammatically correct. It's like, my name is Geto, and I
Have some
have...
silver points.
Yeah.
It is fun. I promise you, win silver points.
That's not as fun.
Not as great.
No, it's not as good.
My name is Gato, and I
Exactly what
have
it
metal
sounds
joints. If you kill me, you get 50 silver points.
Oh,
Dude,
why don't we start by Jeremiah, you talking about your Millennial Fair playthrough, because I found it quite amusing.
Oh, nice.
I'm an idiot. You know how, like, okay, so the last thing I wanted to do was go and, like, open up a, like a walkthrough to try to remember all the things so I don't miss anything. So I was like, no, I'm gonna play this. Yeah, I want to play it off muscle memory, right? Like, just, re-experience everything and then come to those conundrums and be like, how do I deal with this? And so I went to the Millennial Fair, and muscle memory is I'm an idiot. First of all, I went to the woods forever and, like, leveled up for a while with Chrono all by myself.
You decided to grind.
The Guardia Forest. I was like, it's time to grind, bitches. And I
Okay, and let me point out, your big complaint with Final Fantasy VI was it was too grindy, and then you went on Chrono Trigger and you were like, I want to find some grind.
Just on your own initiative.
It was
Like,
muscle
the game
memory.
wants me to go to the fair, but you know what? I'm level 1, and I don't want to show my face there if I'm not level 5.
Dude,
Better
apparently
safe than
that was-
sorry, bitches.
Well, apparently that was from whenever I played the game, like the third time. I actually played the fair so many times and sold my silver points for 50 gold to the point where I bought that load sword for $80,000. Which you get like in the next act, like immediately.
Yeah,
So,
it's just in the
free.
treasure chest.
For free.
Also-
the chest. It's the
Also,
chest.
like, the very first, when you get ambushed by goblins, the very first battle you're supposed to have if you're not grinding in the random forest, you get like 50 gold right off the bat.
Yeah, you get 180.
Yeah, so you're trading in silver points for gold, which is a fool's errand.
I'm such an idiot. So I went through and I maxed out my silver points because that's the thing you can do. And then I was like, awesome, I got my silver points. And I was like, time to go cash it in. Where's that weird fair where you play all the games? And for some reason I didn't remember what the reward was. I was like, it's probably like a mid tonic or something awesome. And I went in there and it was like, want to play for 10 silver points? I was like, fuck yeah, I got like 200. So and it was like, okay, which one's which? Or I think that's the one with the wedge.
Yeah, Biggs, Wedge, and Piet.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that one.
Yeah.
I have a cat. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, well, maybe the other ones get better. And then I was like, 50. I did pay the 51.
No, they don't.
But I did that one, and then it was like, awesome. Now you can have, what's the other thing you get in your room? It's like,
so the first thing you get is a Pyozo doll. That's from the memory game. Then you get the clone, and then the 81 is a second cat.
No, that's what it was. Because I came back with Marley. Because I was so sure that it was something awesome. So I come back with her, and I was like, all right. And that's one where she's on that rope, right?
Yeah, and she's being lowered in.
And I got a cat. I got a fucking cat. I was like, what? I mean, the clone was kind of cool because I'm like, hey, look, I can go to my room and the clone's there, I guess. But I spent hours chugging. My finger went numb chugging soda. And then I bought Gato so many times and then bought tonics and healed myself. It's such a waste of space.
All right, so here was my playthrough of the fair. I walk in, I bet on fucking Cadillac because it's a cat. You know he's gonna win, and plus you can like easily interfere with the race on everybody else by just like pressing A on him. So I'm clearly cheating, and the old man's not noticing. And he's like, "Good job, buddy. Here's 15 silver points or 10 or whatever it was." And then I played the stupid like hit the bell, get 1 point game. I played the chugging game. I could never get more than 7 sodas, so I gave up on that. And then I fought Gato 1 time, and I was done.
Dude, that's the shitty thing about, like, imagine me in my fucking room playing by myself, and you have to like put it down to get all the sodas. You have to put it down, and there's this little trick that I remember how to do, where like basically you kind of like seizure your shoulder, like you're jackhammering something, like this, and then and eventually, sometimes, or at least most of the time, I can get all of them. I think it's 8, and but other times, like you'll do that, and then it'll stop and be 7. I did that like so many times because it's only like 10 silver points or whatever, but it was like a guaranteed 10. Oh, my arm was sore, so I paid a very real price for all these stupid carny games.
So okay, we're in the carnival. I love the music, by the way. The random screams of joy as it goes on.
Yeah.
Da 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 da. Hot. It's very Japanese.
Yeah.
But Tim, did you ever read anything from Northrop Frye when you were doing your literary classes?
Oh yeah, Northrop Frye. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so he's like into a lot of like symbolism. He has like a lot of stuff about literary theory, and so I started applying that to Chrono Trigger. And you look at the different games, you look at the different it's a time travel game, right? So you look at the different areas of time. You start off in the present, it's all these greens and blues. It's like summer, and everybody is just like fucking indolent in the summertime. Like you go in and you talk to people like, yeah, there was a war 100 years ago, and we won. Who cares? Like nobody gives like a fuck. It's just a complete peace and harmony in the summer. The only conflict we really have is Marley
but when you
and
go
her
into
father.
the past, it turns to autumn, right?
Right. The colors shift. Everything becomes kind of hazy and misty, and the monsters kind of come out. So like you start to notice, and then the next place you go to in this chapter is the future, which is winter, right? Like you've got the Mount Doom is all snowy, everything's dead, there's no more vegetation. And
even on the overworld map, you've got wind swirling around. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you start to see these kind of like I never noticed this before, but there's kind of like a seasonal theme for each of the main time periods. Because
oh my gosh, you're right.
The Kingdom of Zeal is like spring.
Right. Yeah. I always took the. I always took the. I always thought that in Protodome, whenever you go forward in time, I always thought that was nuclear fallout. But yeah, you definitely get to Death's Peak, and it's just snow.
Yeah, and what do we call it? We call it nuclear winter.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a nuclear winter. It's the twilight of humanity. It's the death of everything. So that makes total sense.
So what made me realize it was Frye described summer as the period where the hero is born. So it's like the starting period.
No way.
Yeah, so it's like everything's innocent, everything's kind of calm, and then you're starting off on your quest. It's like the summertime beginning. And if you think about like the default campaign setting where we're playing D&D, it's always summer. Like at the beginning, we're just like, yeah, it's summer, just reflexively. It's just kind of like your generic standard setting for peace.
Gosh, it's a natural progression because the next period is fall, and then you have the winter, the nuclear winter, as Jeremiah said. That's absolutely perfect.
Yes. So they're all bored, they're ambivalent, and you've got what Fry calls the Iron, which is the kind of the protagonist of the period, the hero. And he says sometimes there's female Irons, but they're nothing more than stage props, like the bride of the hero or the prize for the hero, the damsel of distress. But then we meet the very first character we meet is the female Iron, Marley, who actually becomes a protagonist in her own right. In fact, the only main conflict in the present is between her and her father. Like, she wants to run off and shirk her duties, and he wants her to like marry and become a ruler. So like that's basically the major.
Right.
There's Go ahead.
That's the primary conflict, because I mean, Chrono is an avatar for the player, and he's just devoid of personality. All Marley.
Whoa.
And she is necessarily the hero then in that context.
Right, because Chrono's just a stand-in for you. He's what gives you. And I was surprised by being a silent protagonist, you still learn a lot about his personality just by the way you play. Like if you bump into her and then you go help her up right away, like that's a choice you can make that comes back. Or if you don't hesitate, right? Like when she gets sucked into the malfunctioning telepod, he just grabs the pendant, he puts it together right away that the pendant's the key to this thing, and he just jumps in after her. So he shows that he's clever and also decisive.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good hero should.
Right. So then you get pulled into the Middle Ages, which is the autumn, right? And we start to see more of it's setting the stage for something bigger later on, right? Like you just hear hints of this war that's going on in the background, but it's foreshadowing.
Against
like you're not going to get
Magus,
into against Magus. And you even find a secret room. Remember the monastery, that secret room where they're worshiping Magus?
Yeah. I actually have to ask. I mean, did our audience find that room? Because that room, it's kind of hard to find. There's some good stuff in there.
Yeah,
that statue.
You get some good relics, and you also get to kind of like learn that these guys are all worshiping. In my translation, they call him the Fiend Lord. They replaced the word mystic with fiend.
Oh.
So he's like the Lord of Fiends. So
right,
it becomes this kind of demonic kind of devil versus like angels motif in the Middle Ages. It's very dualistic. Hero versus the Fiend Lord kind of struggle.
Yeah, actually, Magus's original name was Mao in Japanese, which is like demon. He was a demon lord, and of course the translation was censored, so it became Magus. So actually, he was a lord of the demons, and his like the magical people were demons.
That makes sense because they call them fiends in this translation, which is just
there
another
you
word
go.
for
Yeah,
demon.
the translation finally became full circle, and they got that out there after the translation could get beyond that censorship.
Right. And Northrop Frye, he has other archetypes too. He's got one called the Benevolent Grandfather, who usually shows up in the summer to issue the hero along his journey. And who do we meet in the fair?
Melchior.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's Melchior. The guy who sold Jeremiah the Lodestoard for like entirely too many silver points.
Jeremiah, the one person in the history of Chrono Trigger who bought the Lodestoard from Melchior.
That's how I knew I was a hero worthy.
He's like, truly, you are dedicated. And you're fighting Gato, which is a good way to grind silver points when you're higher level because you can one-shot him. But it must have taken like 2 or 3 hits. Did you have Marley yet? Did you at least have her? Oh, God. So you were just
one-shot him after that.
That
muscle memory. It's like whenever you're driving around and you always make a wrong turn at one place. Like that's what I was doing. I just kept repeating those errors. Because after I got Marley, I was like, oh yeah, you can play this and you don't get penalized later. And what's funny is poor Melchior, he was probably like, he's sitting around at a fair and he's like, I don't know, I'm selling tonics and stuff. And I'm like, what's that thing in the back? He's like, that's a load sword. It's really expensive and it's not for kids. And I was like, I kind of want it. And he's like, it's like 8,000 gold. And I was like, how much do you give me for silver points? He's like, well, me nothing, but that guy over there will trade you like 10 for 50 gold. And I'm like, I'm on it. And then he just sees me just chugging soda, barking, like trying to run the race and just spewing out, like just hating life. And he's probably just like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's just getting beaten the shit out of by Gato, like repeatedly going to the medical tent. Coming back and like trading in all these silver points for a meager like sum, and then I'm like, I'll be back. Poor guy, man. And then when I finally bought it, he probably just felt bad for me. He probably thought I was autistic or something.
and on a gameplay level, like Gato is a really good introduction to how the mechanics work because he's got something where if you attack him when he's too close, he'll shoot his little like punching glove out of his belly and hit you. It's like
he goes bang 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 bang.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't fucking know.
What does it do?
And you do
bang 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 bang.
And your character does that surprise animation like you just didn't see it coming. You're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
But like it even announces it's like counterattack or something right when it happens, because if you wait till he like wanders away from you and attack him, then he doesn't do it, which is a recurring mechanic in Chrono Trigger. They're trying to teach you that, unlike in Final Fantasy, where you're standing in relation to the bad guys is important.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
And,
that's
yeah.
I think a lot of that was really fun in general. The whole fair was completely unnecessary, as it turns out. But anyway, but it's cool as like a kind of a fun introduction. Like we do that a lot. I kept thinking about this while I was wasting my time away at the fair, like hours on end. I was like, this is cool though, because this is how we start a lot of our D&D campaigns. Is like a celebration or a fair.
Right, or like we talked about last week on the Game Theory podcast, the idea of paradise before it becomes lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and we also try to encourage that immersiveness. And you're like, oh, hey, enjoy yourself. Try to put yourself in this moment of this paradise. We should really try to encourage that. It doesn't always work out, but
Yeah, sometimes it works too well, like in Jeremiah's case, but
the fair! And it just went nuts.
Another thing I noticed that they did really well that I didn't always pick up on is like if you leave your house and you don't go to the fair, but you don't go so far off the beaten path that you're in the woods, like you can go to the mayor's house and like he'll teach you how the game works. If you have never played an RPG before, he teaches you about status updates, how to like customize the gameplay, how to like toggle whether it's active or wait, like all the things that you would. This is one of the first games where you didn't need an instruction manual because the game would just teach you to play as you went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just pretty handy. Plus, I went after you reminded me to do that, but it's also got some items in there, which if you're not a hardcore player, if you're kind of wandering around the map, then you'll need those.
Yeah, like it incentivizes you to go and like check it out, even if you already know how to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're in the Middle Ages, right? And you're looking for, and this is where the game basically becomes Back to the Future, right? Like you get back there, you find Marley, and she's like, "Hey, guess what? Everyone thinks I'm the queen." And then she starts to disappear. It was terrifying as a kid.
Yeah.
She starts to not exist.
Well, yeah, but especially because she's the person who just saved your butt, or who's technically has the power in this world that help you out, because you're obviously helpless. And then she's like, "Hey, I'm a monarch," basically. So you're like, "Yes, there's my hope." And then she's like, "Haha, tee. Oh shit, I'm phasing out."
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been established as this empathetical character, this person you really like, and then she's just disappearing right before your eyes. It's kind of traumatic. It really is.
Oh,
yeah.
and
it's a driving force.
I forgot to take this finger and then pack them away, send them in a little box to Sarkeesian, and say "fuck you," because Marley is not the damsel in distress, right? Like she's rocking that shit, and she won't accept her role as a gender female, right? She's like, no, and he's like, "Go put on your dress." She's like, "Bitches, I'm fitting to run out of this castle," and then she.
Well, yeah, and after she disappears and becomes in distress, you're kind of like staring there, looking at the pendant, saying, "What the hell just happened?" And who comes running in? Luca, to explain what just happened to you. Let's talk about her as a character. Luca, what do you think?
She reminds me of Michaelin.
She does.
She kind of does, yeah.
She's a little geeky, but she's also she's intelligent.
Science.
Yeah, she's into science. She's intelligent, and she's got things figured out. She's helpful.
But basically, you have to acknowledge that without Luca's technological expertise, none of this would be possible. You wouldn't be able to travel time. You wouldn't be able to save the world. You wouldn't be able to fix anything.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was kind of a weird or happy and unhappy accident.
So we have the three characters. It's Chrono and two female characters. Both of them very strong, very very respectable, things you could look up to as a girl if you're playing this game. And they're the majority right now for most of the game. To this point, it's Chrono, the silent protagonist with no personality, and two very interesting fleshed out female characters.
Yeah, and you're about to get another interesting badass female, but we won't talk about that yet.
20 years before Anita Sarkeesian even thought about doing these videos.
Jesus. Just stop cherry picking. At least say oh, this game did it great, for example, and is lauded as probably the greatest RPG of all time by many people.
Yes. So what I love about this scene too is it's teaching you the main theme of the game. One of the major themes of the game is that we can change the future. Yeah. And we do it accidentally the first time, right? Because they call off the search, and then Marley, the Queen Nadia never gets found because they think Marley is her. And then, classic Back to the Future butterfly effect. You mess something up, and all of a sudden everything starts to go wrong. But that comes into play later when you get to the future, and you realize, the world's going to end in 1999, and we can change that just like we did with Marley.
Yeah. Yeah. And how cool, okay, this is something I didn't notice, and this is something that I tried to notice after I didn't notice something. Sometimes that's a really good sign, right? And this one I didn't notice, like being incentivized to do things. The plot was very pushing, you know, like it didn't feel railroaded, but it felt like pressing. And it was like whenever you're at the fair and then all shit goes wrong, I was like, oh, I remember this part, you know, and she fades out, and then I was like, oh, hero time and cool music, and you know, that's how I remembered it. And then he's like, bam, grabs it and jumps in, and they're like, oh, you're crazy, and he just jumps in, and Luke is like, okay, I'll catch up later, which also, you know, says she's a hero. She's like, I got to figure this thing out first, make sure we have a stable way back.
Yeah,
but then,
shows you what kind of hero she is, right? Like you're the headstrong hero, and she's the one that plans things out.
Yeah, and throughout the game, like every little piece that comes through, like, you know, they're like, oh, the princess is found. They keep saying that in the bar when you first get there. You're like, whatever, fine, whatever, I don't care. And you know, you're going through your first playthrough. I mean, this time I was like, oh yeah, good for them for illusion or making an allusion to that or foreshadowing. But then you get there and then you're like, oh, it's Marley, and then she disappears right away. Like there's no middle ground, there's no wandering, there's no wondering what's gonna happen next. It's just like, oh shit, and Luke is like, let's go, and then you go, and like it's just this constant like pressure that is satisfying. Good pacing.
And if you've been talking to people, you know right where to go too, right? Like this is a game that rewards you for talking to everybody. Like a lot of times, especially like in the chapter we're gonna do next week, I've been noticing a lot of places where if you didn't talk to people, you could get messed up. But you're like, oh yeah, I learned a clue. Like in this case, we were gonna look in. The queen used to go to the monastery a lot. We were gonna search there, but then we called off the search. And like the monastery, that's where she must be still. Then, like you know right where to go. You're not just wandering around helplessly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pacing is interesting. I mean, obviously a pressing job to do, but at the same time, time is relative because you're a time traveler. So I mean, yeah, you want to hurry along, but you can still kind of go off and explore a little bit, and it doesn't matter because you transcend time.
Yeah, and your name itself
it's really
means
cool. Like in
time,
other games, yeah. If interrupts, you run around and you pick it up, and you're like, oh, this destroys the pacing of the entire game. I don't run around looking for ammo or looking for other shit. I have a job to do.
Right.
But in this context, it doesn't matter. It's satisfying in both ways, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that was like my one complaint with The Last of Us is the pacing always fell off. I always felt like an idiot if I was looking for supplies. But in this one, especially later on when you get better at time travel, like it doesn't really matter anymore. Time's on your side, literally.
That's a good point.
But at the same time, yeah, that pressing job to do never goes away. So you never feel unsatisfied. You always feel satisfied with whatever you're doing.
And I think they did something really well in this, which is they constantly... Two things. They foreshadow and kind of tell you about kind of what's happening next. You know, like for example, when you show up and they're like, the princess is back, and you're like, or the queen is back, and you're like, that's weird. You know, Queen Lean or whatever they mistake for Marley. They talk about that in the bars, and they talk about with other people, and you're like, what's this about? And it's so much that it just reinforces in your brain because like. If there's one thing that's really important with learning, it's repetition and material with the slight variation, right? You don't want to repeat the same thing because then you just check out. But that's kind of what they do. And then then you start hearing about Magus way before we've ever met him, which we haven't yet. And you hear about this war, and then you're like, what? And it keeps talking about it and how important it is. 400 years ago, gosh, I wish he would have just wiped them out. Magus is what the goblins are saying and stuff. And you know, like this is like a constant thing where it's just even if you're an idiot or someone who's really not someone who's used to following a plot, you're still following. So it does a great job. It's already talked about Lavos like 6 times, and I mean I haven't met him yet. And same thing about it's like, oh, when Magus spawned Lavos, and I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Keep saying that, and they do.
Yeah.
So,
Let's talk about. I wish JT was here because I want to talk about musical cues. Like the very first time you hear Chrono's theme. It's in that heroic moment where you decide to jump into the portal into the unknown after that girl you just met, and then it starts playing Chrono's theme, which is absolutely heroic. You just feel like you're like the hero.
Yeah.
It's building up. It's got that kind of like the da 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 da, and you're just leaping into.
From the very beginning, it defines the pivotal moment.
Right. It's right when you first hear your character theme, and then whenever Luca does something awesome, it starts playing her theme, and then we meet our next character, the amphibious hero Frog.
Yes.
And right away we hear like Frog comes in and saves you, you know, like from the little cinematic scene where this little Naga Ed appears behind you and you're about to get you're celebrating prematurely, then he appears and one-shots it and you're like, whoa, those guys are hard to kill. He just killed one in one hit, which is like an exaggeration because when he joins your party he can't do that anymore, but still it's sweet. And it starts playing Frog's theme, which has got this kind of this fife and kind of old medieval kind of nostalgic heroism as opposed to your more dynamic present heroism.
Yeah, it's sort of like a shit. Like everybody makes a good entrance in this game. It's not like they just walk on. Well, I guess Marley kind of has a weird one, but that's supposed to happen because she's supposed to be unassuming to you.
Right, she's undercover.
Yeah, And so like if they came in and they were like, my Marley, and like rocked out, you'd be like, whoa, she's kind of important, and that's the last thing they want you to do.
Like Final Fantasy X2, you have like a pop intro where you're like, I'm having a concert.
Hit it, girls! And Lucas starts freaking out.
They're like throwing up their mics and the spotlights are on her.
They're just twerking at the fair. It's going crazy.
Dude, even that's Gato's intro. He gets his own little microphone and like he karaoke's a little bit.
Yeah.
He's twerking it up, man.
But the first time you hear Marley's theme is not in a really heroic moment, but it's in a tender moment where she's like, I knew you'd come for me, even though we just met, like I could tell that we had a connection. And right before she disappears, which makes that like disappearance hit the gut all the harder because it's playing her kind of soft, sweet theme. And then, bam, she's gone.
That's just so unexpected. I remember the first time I played that, I was like, the fuck? Because like I thought for sure I knew what was going to happen now. We had to go find the queen, the real queen, and then we were going to, do the old switcheroo by being like, just kidding, here's the real queen, but Marley's also awesome, and you guys should totally help us get back. And then I thought that was going to happen. So when she disappeared, I was like, the hell? We haven't resolved anything. It's getting worse.
Things have gotten way worse since I arrived.
And Luke is like, somehow I'm here. And I don't even question that. I don't know how she got there, but whatever.
She built the time key, man. She's a master of time keys. She's a master of unlocking.
Yeah. Take it with you.
So you get back to the present. You saved the princess. You found the queen. Brought her back. Frog has like done his like super like cliche like tragic hero thing where he's like, it was my fault the queen was taken. I have dishonor. And he kind of like samurai. He becomes like the Ronin, like just kind of hops away to like live out the rest of his life.
Yeah, but I love after he says that. He's just like, I've disgraced you. I will banish myself. And then he goes, hop. It's so funny. Like, I was like, oh, Frog, you sumbitch.
Yeah, and he even stops to be like, Chrono, you're like a badass swordsman. Keep being awesome. You're like, thanks, Frog.
Isn't that cool, though? I mean, because it hits every emotional note. It's funny, but it's also profound. He's this Ronin. He's this samurai. He's a tragic figure. And yet you're amused by it. They really just hit all the right notes. It's
and the last thing that Frog wants to be done to him is to be taken not seriously, right? Like an over serious knight is like the way to go. So whenever he's a frog, it's like it's even more tragic.
Yeah, it's ironic.
But it shows like his strength of character because the first thing Luca does is like, oh, it's a slimy frog, and he's just like, very well, you may call me Frog. He just kind of rolls with it. Like he's got this magnanimous, like kind of like. He doesn't get all huffy and be like, dost thou require a challenge? Art thou loyal to Guardia?
Art thou loyal to Guardia?
Capisce.
Just shield bashing Luke in the face. That's what I'd like to see.
So then you get back to the present, and plot twist, like Marley wants you to come back and meet the folks. You find out that she's the queen, the princess by now. And she's like, yeah, come back to the castle. Luca, you should come too.
That's a bad idea, Marley.
Yeah, that was not a good plan because what happens?
They get pissed that she left and they call you a captor.
Yes, and on this, so then you go to trial, and on this playthrough, I finally got all the jurors to like agree that I was not guilty. Used to be
how do you get all of them?
Okay, so I used to get all of them but one. You have to tell the truth when they ask you if you bumped into the princess or if she bumped into you. You have to say you bumped into her. Like that you instigated it. And then and you have to not eat the guy's lunch. You have to bring the lost kitten back to the little girl. You have to, what else? There's basically a lot of things you have to do, and then...
Yeah, I mean, you can't pull her by the arm when she's looking at candy. I've never gotten the what you got there. I've always had one person against me. And I thought I was getting it perfect, and I was like, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, it turns out that the thing I was doing wrong was I was saying that she bumped into me.
Well, when they say you're tempted by her money, what are you supposed to say? They say, were you tempted by her money?
No.
You say no, and you have to make sure you talk to her before picking up the pendant.
Right.
Oh, well, shit. I said yes because I was like, whatever, this guy's a douche. He's going to be like, because I couldn't remember if he goes, I remember him doing this a lot where he's like, are you a piece of shit? And I was like, oh, no.
That's what someone who's a piece of shit would say.
Yeah, he turned to the jury and he's like, how about this time where he was in the bathroom and we didn't, whatever. And then I was like, God dang it. And I remember that happening. So this time I was just like, I can't remember. And I refused to look at a walkthrough. So, yes, I'm a piece of shit. And then I must have lost the juror. Maybe.
Your thoughts.
I'm not falling for your trap. Yes,
that was the other one I used to fall for. Is like I'd get impatient when she's looking at candy. And I'm like, come on, let's go. And she's like, no, don't drag me around like some kind of kidnapper. And I was like, oh shit, that's gonna come back to bite me.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Well, but it doesn't matter because as soon as you get thrown in jail, which I forgot. I thought for some reason I was just like, oh, I really want to be innocent, but it doesn't matter. I guess you can wait your trial. You can wait till your trial. I've never done that. I always bust out.
Oh yeah, you can actually wait. They take you over to the execution chamber, and they're about to I don't know, take you out and execute you, and suddenly Luca busts in like the awesome fucking strong female hero she is, and she saves her ass. It's really cool.
She does? Where
so
do
you get
know?
a whole different scene, yeah. Oh, then you're grouped up with Luca. You don't have to bust out on your own. You just kind of like go through everything you would have gone through if you did just as Chrono.
Oh, what the hell? Okay, well, I kept knocking on the thing until they let me out because that's the only way I've ever done it. But
yeah, me too. I got impatient.
I should have let time be on my side. But yeah, I went out and killed everything, and then killed that dragon tank. And oh man, my memory, even though there's a little manual there, which I totally could have looked at, or I did look at, my memory still remembered. I was like, no, yeah, you hit the head, then the wheel, then the body. So that was fun. Although you know right away, as soon as it heals, you're like, okay, I gotta kill that thing. But killed that dragon tank. That was fun.
Yeah, and that's where it teaches you about elemental resistances too, right? Like the head is immune to fire and lightning, and that happens to be all you can do at this point.
Yeah, which sucked. But that doesn't matter. I always make Chrono a beast. So I just gave him the choppy.
You get all the strength capsules or power tabs or whatever your translation calls them.
Yeah, go to fucking town, Chrono. Who do you give your speed tabs to? I haven't spent mine yet.
I think I give them to to Marley because I want her to be able to heal when I need it.
That's what I thought. That's what I was thinking about doing. I can't remember how I used to do it. Because I remember my very first playthrough, I gave everything to Chrono, even magic, because I didn't understand how he was going to be built. And I was a kid. It was my first RPG I've ever played, so I didn't know what I was doing. But then I think I did. Yeah, then I think I did speed to Chrono and power to Chrono and magic to Marley. But now, and then I beat it with Robo, I think. But now I think I want to play it differently. I want to beat it with Marley, Luca, and Chronos, I think.
Yeah, I'm kind of alternating. I'm trying to keep everybody around the same level, which is cool because when they're not in the party, they still get experience points, about half the rate. So they still kind of keep up. They don't fall too far behind. So I'm just kind of switching them out periodically. But go ahead.
Isn't there a place in the future where you kind of have to split your party?
Yes.
I can't remember.
Well, in the immediate future, actually. So you escape from prison, right? And this is where Marley has her character-defining moment of no, Dad, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm not gonna be a queen. I'm gonna be an adventurer.
Yeah.
And,
I do what I want.
As you run, I do what I want.
I'm not gonna run a kingdom. I'm gonna run from a kingdom. Peace and just deuces all the way out. That'd be perfect.
Mic drops. She throws her gown off. She's got her little jumpsuit on underneath. She's like, yeah, I was ready for this.
She's like, Gato, come here. Gato's like, what can I help you with? And she's like, give me that mic. Dropped. And then she just leaves. That would be sick.
So you end up in the future next, which, like I said, has that kind of winter motif. So now everything is hopeless and dead. But what's the main theme in the future? What's the one recurring motif you keep seeing when you're running around talking to people and doing things?
You're hungry.
Yes, and then hope. It's not the seed, right? Hope. It's you bring hope to these people. So it's very symbolic.
Well, you are the seed.
Yeah, exactly. You're the time egg. What? But,
exactly.
You're bringing hope to these people, which is exactly in that winter motif. You're that little sprout of green coming up out of the snow.
It's double depressing though, because in the future and most okay, think about Time Traveler, the movie. I think that was what it was called. Time Machine. The guy goes in the future and it's perfect, right? The super future kind of. The idea is that the future is supposed to be this utopia, right? Because by then we've worked hard enough where we figured things out. Yeah. So whenever you get there and it's all fucked up, you're like, what the hell, man? It's super depressing because nobody can eat and they're sad and they look crazy.
And they're being kept alive by those energons, but the game makes a point of pointing out every time you use it. It's you get your HP in magic, but you're still hungry, and you're like, oh, and they all look sad.
And when you get there, they're like, why do you look so weird? And you're like, I guess this is what happens when you're nourished. It's super depressing. They say what do they say? They say whenever you're healthy. Yeah, whenever you're healthy.
Yeah, heal, die? Yeah, they separate it in two different words.
Heal, die? They've never heard the word healthy before, which is really sad. Now, catching the rat. Did anyone have problems with that? I got it really quick this time. I remember it was really hard on the Super Nintendo.
I know why, because this time I ran and I tried to catch him, and then whenever I came back, I was I started to run and I got caught on a corner. I was like, oh, wait, I'm using an emulator. I'll just do that thing where I load it. Okay, apparently, whenever you run down, he's nearly impossible to kill. But when you run up after him, he's super easy.
Okay.
And so I spent, like, I don't know, 20 minutes being a shitbag with an emulator, which I never should have done in the first place, and now I've learned my lesson. First time I've used it, last time I've used it. Because I was like, I'd reload it, and I'm like, God damn it! And I even Googled it. I'm like, how do you catch the fucking rat? And I'm like, super easy, guys. And I'm like, shut up! And so it's not. Eventually, once I went and YouTubed it, because I was like, these people are saying it's easy. It's clearly not. So I watched it, and I was like, oh, this guy's going up. That rat's going really slow. And then all I did was let it load this time, ran through the rat, and they came up, and I caught it like 3 times on the same run. And I was like,
I guess now's a good time to talk about what platform we're all playing it on. I've got it on the DS. You're doing an emulator, Jeremiah?
Mm-hmm.
And Tim, what are you doing?
I always played it on the console, but I think I emulated it as well, and I didn't have any problems.
Yeah, some people on the Facebook group were playing on an iPad, and they were having a lot of trouble catching it because of the way the controls are on an iPad. There's no buttons.
That would be awkward. Absolutely.
Yeah. But
that's
yeah.
Yeah, design didn't do so well on that one because like you get caught like on the little metal edge, and it's not a very big like. Nowadays, like when I've been playing like Mario, platformer, and it's just so smooth. If you hold over and you're anywhere near it, it kind of inches you to it. And this one is not that. Like if you get caught by a millimeter or a pixel, you're like stuck.
Yeah, this section of the game is where they experiment with non-RPG kind of more action game elements because you have that. You also have the race against Johnny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the jet bike.
That's
you
the
low
easiest
lives
race
can
ever.
call me Johnny.
What the hell? That's
Of course,
the
you have
easiest
to
race.
keep in mind that this game came out in 1995, so they had no future context for like the iPad or like these other controllers. It was all console.
It was all Super Nintendo controllers, which were pretty solid controllers.
Right.
Yep. Super Nintendo controller was like the Xbox 360 controller of the 90s. Like the Xbox 360 like build or like loadout is amazing now, and everyone's kind of emulating it. And back then the Super Nintendo controller was fucking solid. Those shoulder buttons and then the YXBX, everything was perfect.
Yeah, they've been
just
copying that. They've been copying YXBX layout ever since.
Yeah. Although now they swapped it for whatever reason, which pisses me off. Because I'm holding an Xbox controller and I'm looking at the thing, and they were like, type in Zaby, X-A-B-Y, and I was like, I forget where everything is, and it's mixed up.
Yeah, that's another thing is when you're playing, depending on what control scheme you're using, that part can be messed up in the factory. But beating Johnny is all about just waiting till the end and using your boost, because otherwise you're just kind of going the same speed, circling each other. Although you can try to bounce off of his head.
I literally set down my controller, and then I got up, and I don't remember what I grabbed from behind me, and I just let him bounce me for like the entire race, and then I pushed over, boost, and I won. And I was like, okay, that was simple, but still fun, and there's no consequence like for
losing,
losing, So yeah, it's not frustrating.
Yeah, it's just a fun little mini game. But this overall is kind of a depressing time period. Like your very first mission is you're going after some guy who went after food for his starving family. Like, can you think of a more sympathetic character like this guy who's like, I want to go find food, even though the robots are insane and they kill everyone that goes down.
Oh God! And then you get there and it's all spoiled. That's the worst.
And you.
Yeah, and the guy's dead. I mean, that guy
it's all spoiled and he's like decomposing.
Onto himself, yeah. He is a subquest.
Forget that guy. No, you're hungry and the food's spoiled. Forget that guy.
So you get back there, and not only do you have to tell his widow that her husband died for no reason, but also there's no food.
Yeah, it's the worst. After
but you do bring
like
back
a celebrity,
seed, which is like more symbolic than anything, because they're not going to be able to harvest that seed. They don't have agriculture anymore. It's nuclear fallout outside.
Yeah. That part's pretty depressing, and then you get to the weird sewer. What the hell's going on there?
Yeah,
Frogs
that's
are
actually
talking.
an optional thing. Like you don't have to go down there. It's just kind of if you want to explore that part of the continent, you can. And I did just because I wanted the experience points.
Yeah, and it's fun. I mean, like it's fun little fight.
Yeah, you get some cool items down there.
Yeah, especially that main like slug dude.
Yeah, and you also are introduced in the ruins. You're introduced to the mutants who don't take a lot of damage except by special attacks like fire. So it's kind of introducing a new kind of mechanic that's going to start coming up where you can't just spam the attack button anymore. You have to start considering who you're attacking and what they're vulnerable to.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is
that's
something
actually played out more in the next area where you have to start using area of effect dual text to take out the robots.
How amazing is it that like that these spells cost like 1 or 2 MP? That's amazing.
Yeah, you don't feel bad about
using
using
so cost efficient.
Yeah.
A lot of games get this wrong where they punish you so hard for using magic, and so you just stop caring, you just start using attacks all the time.
that's the funnest part. Like, it needs to do one of two things. Like, whenever you use mana, it should either be ridiculously devastating and cost a good amount, or be, pretty good. It doesn't decide the game, because like even if you win one encounter by doing a Cyclone Fire Whirl, then great, who cares? You both spent like whatever 2 MP apiece or 1 MP apiece, and great, you're done. But it doesn't change. You don't win the dungeon all of a sudden. But most of them, it's like expensive and paltry. So like you hit someone with a fire flame and it takes off maybe 100 HP, and it's also super expensive. Then that's like the worst.
Yeah.
So why bother?
Yeah. And you don't.
Why not just
then you just
optimize your attacks?
Yeah, why not just make a party of all fighters and just forget about the magic subsystem altogether? Which is what we end up doing in a lot of games. Like, Tim, your Final Fantasy Tactics party was like all knights because there was no reason to waste mana.
And ethers are always so expensive. Like, whatever refills your mana is always really expensive.
And what's cool about Chrono Trigger is you never feel like you can get low on mana, but I never was at a point where I was just completely out, because there'd always be a shelter right when I needed one, and I could like rest and recuperate before a boss fight.
Yeah. Yep.
So then you get to meet the next party member, Robo, who Michael and I think she didn't say this was what she was talking about, but she said there was a song that sounds just like Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up."
Yeah,
it does. I've actually seen remixes where it superimposes one thing over the other. It fits perfectly.
Dude, Robo is ridiculous, and he does.
So Robo Rickrolls you right from the beginning.
He's so good.
All right, yeah. So let's hear about your thoughts on Robo. Like, do you use him as like mechanically? Is he a good party member? Character-wise, what do you think?
Well, I love him as a character, and I think he's also an effective party member. He's just slow as shit. That's the only problem.
Yeah. If you're gonna use Robo, you gotta save your speed capsules for him because he's really slow.
And I kind of feel like he's this. He's one of these hybrid characters, and those never do so well with 3 party member things. Like he's got a heal beam, he's got the laser dance, and he's got a strong hit punch, and he has good HP. But the only way to make that any effective at all is to have other characters be better at any one thing than him. And so he ends up being this middle ground character, unless you spend all your shit to make them that better. But then that's the case with any character. So I kind of feel like he's this middle of the road character that I really invested on my first playthrough. And then subsequently, I think I might have done it again a second time, but I don't know.
That's a good point. He's actually he's very different from the party members you have up until then, so it's hard to fit him in. You really have to just learn his playstyle.
His combo techs just suck. Like, at least now, I can't remember what they all do, but like the laser, the healing laser, and then the what are they? Some of the lame ones suck. Like a fire punch or some dipshit. Like he's just a bad character. The combos suck compared to like Antipod 3. Like, that's amazing. You want Antipod, of course. You want healing punch or whatever.
Healing punch.
That
doesn't make any sense.
He just punches you. I feel better.
Punch someone and heal them.
Oh,
if you're a robot. It's AI. Don't ask questions.
Oh man, see, I never used him much my first playthrough, so I'm actually using him more now. Like he's got really good defense. He's got a lot of hit points. He's almost as strong as Chrono as far as damage output. And at this point in the game, it's just been Marley and Luca. Like, my fights are usually Chrono solos one guy in one hit, and Marley and Luca finish off the other one together. Now Robo can start one-hitting things too, so it really changed up the dynamic there.
But doesn't he fall off? Like, I think he's really awesome right now because of the Titan vest, which you get like shortly afterwards for everyone. I think he's equipped with one right away. His hammer fist is really good when you first get it, but then it starts falling off once you get better swords with Kronos. And granted, he's stronger than any caster we have right now, but then you get the barbarian girl who kind of seems like, well, maybe I should just do her.
Maybe you should do her.
Hey-o!
Yeah, it actually gives you a full spectrum party once you get Ayla, because you have 2 physical damage dealers, 2 spellcasters, and you have Chrono, who's good at everything. So you have this freedom to customize the party in any way that you want to. And that's cool.
Right. Yeah. And one thing while we're talking mechanics I really like about this game is that you got your techs, and then your dual and triple techs, they just incorporate your techs together. It's not a new move. Like if you do Chrono learns Slash or, Cyclone, and then Luca learns Flame Blast, where she shoots like a flamethrower, and then together it becomes Flame Whirl. So like it just takes those 2 pieces together and kind of makes a synergistic kind of combination of them instead of creating new moves. It's really cool.
Speaking of things that don't make sense, there's a healing sword slash, so shut your face about the healing punch. The aura whirl,
healing punch.
You're just like, get fucked with your sword, and for some reason it heals everybody.
Because you're spinning, you're not stabbing them, you're not punching people.
You're not.
Dude, I want to see a monk that has like
wrong.
healing abilities. He has like antidote kick, healing punch. It's totally country. I kick you in the face and poison
cognitive therapy suplex.
Status ailment effect, clear dick punch. Yeah.
Okay, so this gives you your first chance to have to split the party. You're introduced to a concept that's going to come up later where you can only have 3 people max in your party. And they come up with a story reason. One person has to stay behind to open the door while everyone else goes to the dome. So my question now is, who stayed behind in your game?
Robo. He's got no heart. He doesn't care.
I'm pretty sure I left Marley behind, but it's hard to remember.
She got that whirl.
I left Luca behind because I figured she'd be good at, like, if something went wrong on her end, she could technology her way out of it, where if Marley, like, she's like, I don't know how to computer. I just don't know how.
That's a good highly point. Technical aspect. Leave the blonde.
So,
no,
I know,
I left Robo and I thought the same thing.
Yeah, I brought Robo with me, so I'd have a tech guy because I think he has the interface with the computer when you get there eventually. And then I left Marley.
Right,
behind.
You want to have an interface on both ends.
Yeah, Luca behind. So
One
then
interface.
and then you get like the next tragic moment where and Chrono Trigger has like this really sad like stock sad song that they play.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Where just like something shitty just happened. And so
that one.
No, it's like, how's it go?
Bum 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 bum.
And it's the one that plays when like Robo meets his brothers, like the rest of the art.
Oh god, what the hell? It's the feels.
Yeah.
He's like these are my brothers, R64Y, R6C, you know, all the other ones, and they're like, Robo is not a name, you are malfunctioning. I was like, you better back the fuck off, robots.
But then you just run up to him repeatedly and get tossed back.
Yeah.
You just have to watch. Shit out of him.
You just have to watch while they beat the shit out of him and throw him in the disintegrator.
So sad. It's fucked up, man. I was just pulling my sword and went crazy, which you do in a second anyway. So.
Yes, it's very. It's definitely making you sit there and just soak it in. You do not have any agency at this point. Every time you try and intervene, Robo's like, "Please stop. These are my brothers."
Yeah, and I was like, "You don't know what's good for you. Shut up." And I was like, "Oh, that's what they're doing."
Oh.
Yeah. So all the feels.
It brings up kind of Robo's one of his major themes as a character is this idea of agency, right? And it's a kind of a tired theme with robots and AI, but like, do they have free will? Do they have a soul? Is he just here to serve humans?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it is a tired theme, but it's a question that's never been answered, so it's never going to get old. I mean,
right.
You have to keep pursuing that.
Yeah, you really can't like go too deep into an AI character without at least visiting it at some point, right? Like Data had like several episodes in Star Trek: The Next Generation about that theme.
Exactly, you can't. I mean, you're only going to get better at exploring that point. It's not tired.
And just in case,
profound.
Sometimes I treat Siri kind of shitty on my phone, and I wonder, I'm like, wait, are we at the point yet where this is immoral the way I'm treating her? I'm like, shut up, Siri, and she's like, if you say so, David. And I'm like, well, she sounds kind of mad. So then you beat the robots. Robo is just trashed. You bring him back to for me. We drag the sad kind of dragging him back to the dome to repair him scene where you're just kind of dragging him back in pieces. Yeah. And like it doesn't show you the whole thing, but the camera keeps fading out and coming back in, so it makes it feel like the journey took a long time because it's just like womp womp. Whereas if they showed you the whole thing, it would have been like, yeah, you just walk like 2 inches on the screen. But they kind of like filmed it in a way that made it seem like an excruciating mess getting him back home.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice to get him back home. I mean, it really underscores the loyalty between the members of your party towards Robo.
Right, which makes the next part all the more like terrible because your next choice you have to make, you're at the end of time now, which is what happens when more than 3 people try to time travel. This is the game's workaround for why you can only have 3 people in your party.
Yeah.
And so if more than 3 people ever time travel, they end up at the end of time, which is the point of least resistance. It's where there's the very least amount of stuff. So just stuff ends up washing ashore there, and you meet an old man there, and he explains the whole system to you. And then he tells you, one of your friends is going to have to stay here with me for a long time by himself in this void.
Who do you want it to be?
Yeah.
And
like, for me,
you think it would be the least painless on the robot, right? But,
right, and that's what I ended up doing. Because I was like, can you be programmed to feel lonely? Can we just shut you down until we need you?
Well, in fact, this comes back later when he's replanting the forest. I mean, I'm sure we'll get to that, but...
Oh, yeah, that's like another
it's a recurring motif.
Like, he's the one guy who can like withstand the solitude of time.
Exactly.
Which is good, like it's brilliant actually, because you're kind of inclined. I think most people, if we did a survey, left Robo behind at that point for those reasons.
Right. They want the human dialogue and they want the human party members. I mean, it's not that they dislike Robo.
Yeah, but he seems like the best choice to be left behind. But then also, the brilliance of it is the next thing you do is you meet Specchio, the Master of War, who can teach you magic if you're a living person.
He's a lamb.
Which doesn't include Robo.
The lamb now. I remember he gets like it turns into a demon or something later, but he's a lamb right now.
Right. The first thing he asks you is
fat.
The first thing he asks is, does he look weak or strong? And then no matter what you say, he's like, the way I look reflects on how strong you are, which is this cool kind of philosophical, maybe psychological thing of like perspective. Like when you get there, your level, I was level like 13 or 14 when I got to this point. And so he looks like a little idiot. And I'm just like, you look at a punk. And he's like, that's because you're a punk. You come back at level 99, he's like a huge muscle-bound monster.
Dude, all you're grinding on Gato doesn't matter. He looks like a punk.
I tried to pay him off in silver points. He was having none of it.
Which, by the way, did you guys fight and beat him right away when you first met him?
Yeah.
So hard.
I think
that was
so.
like the most hard fight I'd had that thus far. Like he does
like,
so much damage.
He is hard.
I spent like 6 mid-tonics. That's crazy expensive.
I know, and I was using all my they call them Athenian waters. What are the things that bring you back to life? And what are they used to be called?
Revive. Oh.
Like Phoenix Downs, essentially.
I think it's just called Revive.
Yeah, whatever they were. I think they were called Revives.
It's called
Okay,
Revive.
But yeah, his magic's overpowering.
So good. So yeah, I used a ton of mid-tonics. Like all the mid-tonics I'd found up at that point, I'm just like, come on, stay alive! He's hitting for like 150, 160 every hit.
Yeah, that sucked. I got desperate quick.
But I really wanted to beat him, because I remember when you beat him, he gives you his little like grab bag full of magic capsules.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he gives you like a ton of cool stuff.
He gives you magic. I remember that, which is, or no. What did he give you?
He teaches you magic, and then if you beat him, he gives you a bunch of items.
Okay, that's what it was.
Like mid-ethers and magic capsules.
That's what it was. Mid-ethers, yeah, and magic tab or something. No, that's cool.
Yeah. And the way he makes you learn magic, it's so like Mr. Miyagi, right? Like you just do this ridiculous, like, walk around the room 3 times and say magic to yourself in your head as loud as you can. And I'm like, wait, are you fucking with me right now? Can you just point at me and I learn magic? Like,
he looks like a ridiculous lamb pig. Of course he's fucking with you.
He's just like dancing around, and I'm like, 1, magic, 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 2, magic, magic, magic.
That's so interesting, though. I mean, where does the magic actually come from? Is it that easy? I mean, it's that easy, obviously. What's been holding you back?
Yeah, because you're the only
humans.
Yeah, you're the only humans that can do magic, right? Like it's an innate ability of the fiends, of the goblins, the mystics. But
yeah,
like you.
But it's just that easy. You turn it on by walking around in a circle and saying magic. I mean,
right? So you must be unlocking something.
Well, they said that everyone could use it before, but now only the wizards can because they got it out of control, right?
Right.
Yeah.
In which case, like him giving it to you, maybe he's a god of mischief.
Just wants to reintroduce magic back into the timeline.
Yeah, like he's just. I mean, look at him. He's a little douche. Like I hate that guy.
He is.
Yeah.
He's dancing around.
Yeah, and he introduces himself as the Master of War, but like we don't think of warriors using magic, in the typical fantasy tropes. He's like more of a master mage, so mischief makes more sense.
And they never expound upon what he really is. I mean, obviously he's something pretty fucking cool, but he's Specchio. That's it.
Even his name kind of sounds mischievous.
Yeah. Specchio. Master of Mischief. Like it's just master. It's perfect.
What is he doing at the end of time? Yeah, why is there only a Master of War? Where are the other masters?
Why is he behind a door if he wants to like interact with you?
Yeah, it's pretty weird. But another thing we find out too is that people have innate kind of animas, right? Like this is something that we see a lot in kind of Japanese RPGs where your soul is attuned to a certain one of the 4 elements. So we find out Chrono is attuned to light, then Marley water, and Luca fire, and there's 4 elements total. There's also shadow.
Yeah.
Which is Robo.
Foreshadowing.
Oh.
Mac.
So what's your element, Jeremiah? What do you think?
In real life, IRL.
Yeah, IRL. What's your element?
Shady as shit.
I'm gonna say fire.
I say fire. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably say fire. Yeah, I'm temper.
A little stupid.
What's yours, Tim? What kind of magic are you learning from Specchio?
Oh, I don't know. Probably water or ice or whatever.
Water and ice.
What about you, David?
Which is what Frog had, so yeah, I think that fits.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go into that in our next chapter because there's a lot of dualism with water as an element and fire that Hofstrom talks about.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I don't know, maybe light or water. Those two are kind of appealing to me.
Nice.
But yeah, so overall thoughts going back. You guys had all played this game before, right?
Yeah.
So did it hold up? Is it something you can go back and like still play and have fun with? Like sometimes you go back and play a game, and you're like, why did I ever like this game? Like I can never finish Final Fantasy IV when I go back to play. I always kind of lose interest halfway through.
Yeah, dude, definitely. That's the crazy thing. It's held up to time because it doesn't do all the dumb bullshit like grindy stuff. Well, I do, but you don't have to. and on top of that, like, yeah, the pacing's good, the story's good, and overall, like, what is it? There's just something about it where I kept finding myself, like, I had it up. I have it up right now, actually, on my other monitor right here. I'm looking at it. It says, "Death to the Mystic's enemies." But there's something about it where I just keep going back to it. I'll be, like, in the kitchen cleaning or something, and then I'm like, I finish that, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna go play some more Chrono Trigger. Like, I don't know, it's just a good game. Good pacing, yeah. I'm invested in the story. It's fun. The hell?
How many hours did it take you to get through the first week's reading?
100. But most of that was at the fair. I don't know.
Yeah, I got through it in 3.5 hours, but then my brother told me it took him like 6, so I was just wondering what the average would be. I've played through it again, so I think that helps.
It took me like 7, yeah. But
I'm checking mine. Looks like it was about 4.
I did the sewer. I did the and I went through every area. I grinded a bunch in the forest and at the fair. And then I go to every house and like on every continent because I can't remember some parts. I'm like, I feel like I can walk around here. Yeah, there's another town. I just look around. Most of the time it's nothing or it's just like a cat or something stupid. But occasionally I find like a MIDI through and I'm like, fuck yeah.
Did you guys all find the super secret Naga Ed Bromide?
Oh, the Naga Ed Bromide! My little Naga Ed pet.
Yeah.
Okay, this was something I always wanted to know as a kid. What the hell is a bromide?
I don't know.
Yeah, me too. See, it sounded like it was chemistry related. I was like, oh, it's some kind of chemical. Got this Naga bromide, and they're gonna, I don't know, but it turns out it's some kind of like pornographic image, like a photograph.
Yeah, that's what I think it ends up being is like a Tijuana Bible kind of thing, with just like sexy Naga Eds in a little pamphlet. Because you end up in the next chapter, you end up giving it to an old man who's just like he, like he's super perving out about it.
Oh yeah.
They're just like sexy pictures, basically. That's it.
Those Naga Eds are pretty sexy.
No, they're not.
They got those sexy lady tops and snake bottoms, you know.
And they're constantly like kissing you to slow you down. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Exactly.
Put that in and around my private part.
Give that to an old man. But yeah, make sure you guys pick that up in your travels because it's gonna come in handy later.
Yeah, you don't want to miss out on that bromide.
Really?
Well, you just get like a little bonus item.
Hot, man.
It's super sweet.
You can't look at it.
Fapping it up over here.
Yeah.
So we had someone on the Game Theory podcast page. Mark said that I just want to say this is my first time playing this game and it's awesome so far. I do have a question though. The first time that I was in the Middle Ages and returned the Queen, Frog just runs away. My one friend told me there was a cutscene on the bridge, but I missed it. Does Frog still come back to join your party later if you don't watch the cutscenes?
Yes.
Crap. Yeah, of course he comes back, yeah, but you can miss out on Frog. I forget how, off the top of my head, but it's possible to miss out on him. Obviously, you demonstrated that.
What? That sucks.
Yeah, he actually comes back a little bit later, and you have to go on without him for a short while. David, do you remember how you miss out on Frog?
Well, I know eventually there's a choice you have to make, but that misses out on a different character. I don't remember how Frog... you can miss out on him or not, but I do remember that cutscene on the bridge, but I skipped it this time, so hopefully that won't affect things later.
Huh.
But, yeah, you end up... Frog's really mopey, but, it'll be alright. Just remind him about what being a hero is all about.
He will return to the party, inevitably. Like, you cannot progress in the game without him, so don't worry about it. You just missed him for the Cathedral session.
Yeah. But I think he's talking about like after you finish that session when Frog leaves the castle, like you can go back down to Zenobia Bridge and see him one more time.
Huh.
and there's like a cutscene there, and it's been so long since I've seen that cutscene. I don't remember what it says, but I don't think it's going to be game changing.
No, it shouldn't be.
So I'm glad Mark is I hope a lot of people are playing this through for the first time. The best thing about a book club is where you can discover something that you missed out on when it first came out, like whether it's classic, Brothers Karamazov or Catcher in the Rye, or if it's Chrono Trigger. It's fun to actually have an excuse to go back and play these great things that you missed.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cool thing is, Mark, like after you beat the game, you'll have a new game plus option. You can go back and try to figure out where you messed up or where you went right. How you can change things. It's all about the relativism of time.
Right. It's a perfect fit. New Game Plus. This is the first game I've ever seen that had a New Game Plus option. It's just a perfect fit for the themes of time travel.
Perfect fit. It was just absolutely great.
And
there's like 12 different endings?
I think there's like 13.
Depending on when you want to fight lava?
Yeah, there's like 3 you can get on the first playthrough, and then there's another 10, I think, on the New Game Plus.
What the hell? That's crazy.
Seriously, and they're really cool. Like they're all extremely different.
Yeah, some of them are just jokes. Like there's one that's like, oh no, you messed things up, and now dinosaurs never went extinct, and everyone's a dinosaur now.
Oh, I've seen that one. For that, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, or if you beat it at one point in time, everyone's a frog because you didn't say frog. So it's just it's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot JT actually wants to do a bonus episode just about the endings once we finish the playthrough.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
That works.
But Jeff commented, he says, I'm still blown away about how you meet Marley and have played that differently each time. So he's just kind of blown away by the intro of where you meet Marley for the first time.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So keep your comments
it's super
coming.
Immersive. That's good.
It is. Hopefully we can have JT on next week when we do Chapter 2 because I want to hear him talk about the music a bit more, informed than I can do.
That would be good. But
beyond that, thanks for showing up, guys, for the first book club bonus episode. I think it was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. I love playing a game, especially with my friends, where everyone's playing it and talking about it at the same time. So good to have you guys
absolutely.
on.
Yeah,
that's
there's
the
something
quintessential retro RPG of the Super Nintendo, retro consoles in general. So thank you for experiencing that. Yeah, it's great.
So if you feel like we missed something, or you want to bring something up to our attention that was kind of cool in your playthrough, join us on the Facebook or send us an email, and we will read your comments next week. And we might even just have some people on who've never played it in one of our recaps just to get kind of a fresh set of eyes on it.
Yeah, it could be
fun.
If
Michaelin's played it, Tim?
Oh, I'm not sure. I've asked JT.
Yeah.
I think you watched him play it a little bit.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, until next week. So next week, the reading assignment. We're going to go from, the Mystics Village, or the Fiend's Village in my translation, all the way through until you fight Azala.
Okay.
So there's a major story arc going to go down, and we're going to get some more motifs.
Sounds good. Well, I'm looking forward to it, man.
All right.
So, enjoy Chrono Trigger, guys, and thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Until next time, I'm David.
And I'm Kronos.
I'm Tim!
And we'll see you next week.